All right, sounds good.
Yes, once. How many interviews have you done? I think Ifran, who's a really good friend of ours, also was telling me you guys did like 45 or something, and it was
49 as of yesterday.
oh my God. But it must feel good. Natalia, does it feel good to have so many people wanting to talk to you?
Yeah, Natalia, do you? Be honest with her.
I'm very camera shy.
Oh. Even now, after so many interviews?
I feel more calm when I have an animal with me.
That's really sweet. So we are live. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. This is the original Scary Yummy, and I'm with Sheena, Afzal, and Natalia. And we've shared Natalia's story on the group a number of times about her breaking the world record for assembling the periodic table. But we really wanted to have her and her mom here to share her achievement and also to ask her mom what she did to raise such a brilliant, focused child. So hi and welcome to Scary Yummy, and hi Natalia, welcome to like your 50th interview. Is that right?
Absolutely.
Yes.
So
Hello
Natalia is
to you.
very tired of doing interviews, and she's also camera shy, so we won't put her on the spot with any questions. So let's start by asking you, Sheena. So tell us, how did all this happen? Like, was Natalia always interested in chemistry? How did the idea of, getting her to practice assembling the periodic table, how did all this happen?
So basically, this was a COVID project. When schools were off and everybody was home, and we wanted to do something creative to keep the learning going. And for privileged kids, it's very, very hard to incentivize them. So every time that she needed something from me, I would go and ask her to go and learn 10 names of elements. And thode din mein, she got done with all the elements. Then we started researching a little bit more about them. And that's how the story started. And then we found out that there was actually a world record. And we started practicing to break that record.
Oh, so wow, this was your idea. That is amazing. So Sheena, why the periodic table? Are you a chemist or a doctor? Like, why did you want to challenge her with the periodic table?
Actually, everything around us in the universe is made up of these elements. And she's been a small science enthusiast always, since she was like 4. She'd have explosions in the house, stuff would be stuck on the ceilings, and I really encouraged that, her curiosity, that she just wanted to know more. And unfortunately, they were not really teaching all of that in school. But if a child asks a question, the parents need to be equipped to answer it. So that's how the story started. And she would ask me all sorts of questions about the universe and about ये कैसे बनाया है, किससे बना है, इसके अंदर क्या चीज है. She's just a very curious child.
And Natalia, would you practice assembling the periodic table daily? Was it like a daily activity? How long did you spend practicing it?
We did it every day, but I did only take a break on Saturday. And we would take 5 to 10 minutes.
That's it. It's not that we spent hours doing this. It was for 40 days. It was a 40-day challenge. And I used to give it a goal, a time goal, that if you give me this time, you're free to go. So sometimes it would be wrapped up in 5 minutes. Sometimes it would take 20, 25 minutes. But it was a very, very goal-oriented thing.
So Sheena, what is your mothering style? You seem to have like a lot of out-of-the-box ideas. I mean, everybody's kids were going through COVID, but you might have been the only mom who thought of, taking this on as a project. And it's a great project. So what is your mothering philosophy? What is your goal? Is Sheena your only child, or do you also have other children?
No, that's why I'm able to give her all this attention and time, because she's my only child. And I believe in really just learning along with the children. And I don't believe in the traditional way of learning. Like a lot of people, after seeing her video, was saying, "Ye to ratta hai," she just memorized it. What's the big deal in that? or what they don't understand is that anybody can memorize it, but anybody cannot get up and break the record of a chemistry professor who spent her life doing this. And she was not competing in a children's competition. She was competing with a PhD chemistry professor. And in an adult, their brain and their hand coordination is way more refined than a child's can be. So our actual challenge was the speed and the efficiency with which she was able to put the elements down. So it turned into a sport. So ye khel ke andar we broke a world record. And I am a strong believer that there can be so many creative solutions to teach a child. And, it should not be exam oriented. It should be goal oriented.
Yeah, that's really impressive. So were there other projects you were doing with her under COVID? Like this was one of them, but were there other, because you had like from March, basically, she probably hasn't been going to school. So what other activities were you doing? Was she doing arts and crafts? Was she doing more advanced science, or was this the main thing?
This was predominantly the main thing because I would have to give her the study naps, and I did several courses on learning how to learn. So to be able to exercise that particular way of learning, you have to unlearn everything that you have learned in the past. So this was basically mere liye bhi an experiment. Whatever I had learned in theory, I was trying to apply and see if it really works or not, and clearly it did. But we emphasized on that. So we had a routine where, she got enough hours of sleep, what she was eating, proper endorphins released in the brain, little bit of exercise going on so that, she's able to absorb. So everything was focused around this, at least for 40 days, until we were getting ready to actually break the record.
Wow. And so in the practice rounds, was she consistently breaking the record? Is that when you decided to have her timed by externals?
No, they had to be timed by externals. That is actually the Guinness World Record is actually the most renowned entity that gives out any world records in the world. And it's very, very hard. They have very strict guidelines, and they have extremely strict SOPs for every record, whether you're creating one or you're breaking one. So in her case, it was breaking one. So it was a long process to get in touch with the Guinness people and get the proper guidelines. And then we had to have 2 witnesses and 2 timekeepers, and we had to have the testimonials, video recordings. So there's a lot of work that also goes along with it.
So but what I was asking was when she began, what was her time? Like when she began doing it, what was her time? And then what kind of like a target did you set daily that she has to improve by how much? How did you make like her full time? It's almost like you were training her for the Olympics or a marathon.
It was exactly that. You totally nailed it. It's exactly that. It was like a sport. I felt like a football coach. I had a stopwatch in my neck all the time, and I had a logbook. I would log her entries, her time every single day, and I would also change variables. And there's a very interesting thing that we did. We introduced music, because music actually stimulates the left side of the brain, which actually helps you retain information. Yeah. So because it was such a short period of time, she started, the first time that she laid out the elements was, I think, 12 and a half minutes. And then each day we started shaving off 15 seconds, 20 seconds off it.
Taking you to the back. So the very first day, like initially the first few days were probably spent in getting her to memorize them, right?
No. See, I'd already given her the task a lot before that. When she had already learned all the elements.
So she knew where they were.
She knew the elements. She knew exactly around in our environment. Kidhar elements hote hain. For example, calcium is in our bones, iron is in the blood. We breathe in oxygen. So there were small connections that were forming in their brain. And the periodic table was a story. So it was not a memorizing trick. It just totally made sense. Everything made sense to her. So she sees it in a totally different way than you and I would see it.
Okay. So before the 40 days, she already knew the elements and she knew where they would go. So the 40 days were basically like an athlete trains. After you know how to swim,
Yes.
you train to get your
Yes.
talent. So on day one, what was her time?
Yes. Almost 12:45, 12 minutes and 45 seconds.
And then it would come down by how much every day?
15 seconds, 20 seconds every day. She would shave it off. Actually, she broke the record in 2 minutes and 42 seconds. But in the house, in our practice sessions, she was actually breaking it in 2 minutes and 14 seconds. So when all the camera people came and the people came, the judges came, because she's an only child, she's not used to having so many people and being in the spotlight. So she didn't give me the time that she was, or giving me in our practice runs.
Oh, okay. And Sheena, how were you feeling throughout these 40 days? Were you super nervous? Was it something you guys had your heart set on? Or did you just think of it as an adventure? Okay, ho gaya, great, nahi ho gaya, it's fine. Or did you want her to learn a life lesson that, when you focus on something and work towards it, you can achieve it? Like, what was your aim?
I believe that we unnecessarily shield our children from dealing with pressure. Pressure is very, very important to be able to handle. The world has a lot of pressures. Real life has a lot of pressures. ये तो बहुत controlled environment में I was exposing her to tremendous pressure. I know a lot of people were saying, you're putting a 9-year-old through this. I was like, this is just the beginning. This is just for 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes that she has to deal with pressure. I'm equipping her to deal with the pressures of life. And it was in a controlled environment and I was in control of it. So I used to see there were days when she couldn't take it. And I used to push her just a little bit. And then the next day I'd push her just a little bit more. And that's how it was an adventure. It was not an intent. We had not set out to break a world record. I was just trying to teach her something.
Okay. And tell us about yourself. Like, you seem like a really committed mom, but are you also a working mom? Or is this like bringing up Natalia to the best possible ability your work?
I think being a mom is the hardest job on the planet.
Agree.
It's the hardest thing. Yeah, and it's a lot of responsibility, but I am a migration consultant, so I help people with plan Bs if they want to move somewhere abroad for work or immigration or something like that. So I'm actually a migration consultant. But right now, I'm focusing all my energies on her, and I'm going to homeschool her now. And
so she's not going to go to Learning Alliance anymore?
No, she's been out of Learning Alliance.
Oh.
Since June. Yeah, since before the record.
I thought that she was still a Learning Alliance student till before COVID.
No. I took her out of school in June. When this COVID situation happened, we were not comfortable. अभी तक polio तो हम eradicate कर नहीं सके हैं. I have no confidence in what's going to happen.
This year, June.
Yes.
Okay. So now
before the record, she was.
And now you're going to homeschool her. Wow. So what about your job and your career? Like, we discuss homeschooling a lot on Scary Yummy. I don't know if you remember or not, but like a lot. We have homeschooling experts come in from all over the world to talk to Ammis. And the statistics of homeschooling are scary. Like, if 10 kids are homeschooled, 1 or max 2 have been successfully homeschooled. And the other 8 have not been successfully homeschooled. So
actually, I have read different statistics. I have read that children who are homeschooled are 50% more successful than children who are not.
True, but that is if homeschooling is successful. So these are figures from the United States. I think there's a full statistics board that actually tracks homeschooling. I think these are the US Department of Education statistics. They're openly available. So if out of 10, like if you take any 10 kids and you homeschool them, only 2 will be successfully homeschooled. Then those 2 are 50% more likely to be successful than kids who go to school. But the failure rate of homeschooling is very high, mainly. I mean, I'm sure it's going to change this year because never have so many parents done homeschooling, right? Like the number of parents doing it. Yes. And because the demand is so great, the resources are there. So earlier there were no resources. Yes. Like My youngest, who's
Right.
4, we decided to do distance learning for him. And there's so many resources now available. Like K-12 has launched a homeschooling program. Like, Harvard University is talking about homeschooling. Like homeschooling's become,
Yes.
but
Yes,
now the
exactly.
resources are there. But how will you manage it as a working mom? How are you going to put your career on the back seat? Are you going to buy curriculums from the United States or England? Like, how are you personally going to manage? I have no doubt you will be able to do it successfully. I just want to know how, so other mothers can learn.
Actually, I don't need, I mean, all my work is because I want to work. I need a project all the time. I cannot just not do something, right? I need something constructive. I need to, I guess, just have assure myself that I'm not just taking up oxygen in this world. I'm kind of making a difference. So that's why I work. But this is so much more fascinating to me, what I can do with this child's brain. It's somebody asked me on one of these anchors asked me that, तो आप क्या करती हैं, तो आपकी सक्सेस स्टोरी क्या है? मैंने कहा, you need to understand the hand that rocks the cradle rules the world.
Yes.
I rock this cradle. She rules the world, I rule the world.
Yes.
So I really just want to give her all the opportunities that I possibly can. And I feel that this COVID has shown that to us, that ये जो decluttering हुई है from the school, I've just realized that they waste a lot of time in school.
They do.
On irrelevant things. So I can actually concentrate on a whole bunch of things, and at least all the degrees that I have, I can get it through high school at least, without any tuitions or any help from anybody else. So we're going to be concentrating on the sciences. Unfortunately, in 4th grade, they didn't even introduce sciences. So it's very unfortunate. She knew so much more about chemistry and biology and physics, and it was extremely unfortunate that she was held back because the other kids were not exposed to that information.
Yeah, absolutely.
So ISWA right now, we have schools from the US asking to put her there on online high school programs. And so I have all the curriculum. Yeah.
No, but are you planning to enroll her in a school in the US while sitting here, or are you just planning to homeschool her?
Abhi to nahi. She's going to go into 5th grade. But a lot of schools from here, Lahore, also have contacted us. Their principals have called us, and they've given us a lot of flexibility. They're saying that theek hai, baki sab subjects mein she can remain in 5th grade, but for the sciences in particular, she can choose. She can go as high as she can. 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th grade, whatever courses she wants to take, whatever classes she wants to take, she can go ahead and take that. Because right now her brain has the power to absorb all this.
Yeah.
So I don't want to let go of that opportunity. As you grow older, your brain does not have that much power to absorb.
No, absolutely. And I think that child-led learning is the way of the future. So if a child can, when she's in grade 5, learn at a grade 9 level, why hold her back? Absolutely. We had Arfa Kareem's mom on yesterday, and she was talking about the same thing, that they gave her daughter 3 years to do the certification, and she did it in 4 months. And why not? If she can do it, why hold her back and say, so I completely.
Absolutely.
So will you be like, basically your career is going to take a back seat and you're going to be fully focusing on your daughter?
I am going to make a career out of educating her.
Wow. So where does this come from, Sheena, this passion to change, to raise a daughter who is a role model in every sense, and who's already a trailblazer, mashallah, she's only in grade 4. Where does this come from? Does it come from, were you raised similarly, or where does it come from?
I was absolutely raised in a similar way. In our family, girls were considered a lot more superior than boys. And we were just given this. It's all about girl pride and girl power.
Yeah. And you mentioned Beach May. You spoke about, okay, so Sadia Latif has a question. How did you know that she would be interested in elements? I mean, that's obviously not something in the regular curriculum. Were you already like teaching her advanced chemistry and she was interested in elements?
Oh, she has a 1,500 questions to ask a day. And those 1,500 questions are generally science related. And she would just be so fascinated, okay, I'm going to add this with this, what's going to happen? So she's just so fascinated. And I did my pre-medical also. So I know about chemistry and biology and physics to a great extent, at least, high school ke baad tak to I know. So I just to answer her questions, I never want to say that, I cannot answer your question. So even if I didn't know the answer to what she was asking me, I would find it. And then I'd make sure that she was answered correctly and properly. And that's what used to lead to more questions. And elements that your task tha, I thought it was a hard thing that I was making her do. I'm going to do this for you. She wants to eat sushi, or I go learn the names of 10 elements. You want pizza? Go learn another 10 elements. So I used to give her a hard task. She would learn like that. It's either the carrot or the stick. That's how every human freaking works.
Do you believe in the carrot and stick? Do you believe in external motivation? Do you believe it works?
Incentivize.
So what kind of incentives do you
reward?
Like food? You mentioned food, Abhi. Sushi and pizza.
So basically, my daughter is an animal crazy person. We have 2 dogs and 2 cats.
Right now that I'm she actually said that before the interview. I'm happiest when I'm with an animal.
Yes. So she basically, when she grows up, she wants to be a biochemist because she saw this video few years ago, where they were showing what they do to animals in a lab, how they test products and vaccines and medications on animals and what happens to them. So she came crying and she was so overwhelmed, and she was like, what do I need to do to save these animals? So I explained to her what a biochemist was and how she can save the animals by becoming a biochemist and not kind of try all this stuff on animals. And that's where she's very focused on becoming a biochemist and, kind of pursue her career in that.
Yeah. Okay. So Sheena, what is like an average day in your life with her like? Like, can you walk us through the routine? And I'm asking all these questions because you're talking to a group of ammis. A lot of them are grappling with the question, should we homeschool or should we not? What you've done with Natalia is so remarkable that I think it's inspiring for every mother who's thinking of homeschooling. So walk us through your daily routine. How do you structure her day? And how do you like plan out what you have to teach her? How does it work?
Okay, so I don't believe in sitting down and opening up a whole bunch of books and learning stuff from books only, because there is so much around us in our environment that we can learn from. For example, physics ki koi cheez hai. So she comes to me and she goes, Mama, you're gonna remember Newton? I was like, of course I remember Newton. What about Newton? She goes, you said something to me and you broke your promise. So now, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Now you'll have to suffer the consequence. It's like, okay. So this is how we talk. So I taught her Newton's third law of motion just by conversing with her, right? So isi tarah biology, chemistry, English, French, Spanish, Urdu, math, we do this in our interactions. So we don't sit down to study. We don't need to do that because everything's learning.
Down the entire day, like what about basic things like math drills, English writing, Urdu grammar? Like if you don't sit down at all, or you sit down for a part of the day?
No, we don't sit down at all. At least abhi to humko time hi nahi mil raha, because we've been going totally, because you see, we did not anticipate that what is going to happen after the record is broken. Firstly, our intent was not to break the record. Then we broke the record. And since it was brought back from India, so there's like a global uproar right now regarding this thing. So right now, ever since the record's been broken, we have had no time to continue our studying process, which we will start from August 31st. So I have it planned out, how she's going to do it, but I don't intend. I want to do focused learning for her. So it's not going to be all the subjects in one day, or even we're going to do, I think per week we will do one subject, one particular goal that we will achieve, and then we will move on to something else. So we're going to try a couple of different methods to see which is most effective.
So tell me, till August 31st, is she just like basically chilling out? So what does she do when she chills out? Do you allow like a lot of TV, YouTubing, Netflix?
You have to give some, you have to let go. If I tell her not to do 5 things, I need to allow her to do 1 thing. So she spends majority of the time playing with her animals. Now she got another reward for breaking the record. She got to rescue another cat. So now we have 3 cats and 2 dogs. So she is pretty much always playing with them. It's too hot to go outside, so we don't do any outdoor stuff
So
right
the
now. She
dogs and
just
the cats are in the house. So along with Natalia, you're bringing up like 5 animals.
Yes.
Wow, that's like 6 kids.
Yes, that is like 6 kids. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if you count my husband, then that's 7.
So I want to know your husband's role in all this. So like you've spoken about your journey. Was it a shared goal that you and your husband had? Is he also going to be part of the homeschooling adventure that you want to take, or is it just you and Natalia and he's just there as a passenger?
So him and her, they basically connect with music. He plays the piano and the guitar, and he sings really well. So he's trying to teach Natalia to play the piano. So she learns that from him. So he takes care of the music aspect. And as far as the record is concerned, he played a very important part, because I was the bad cop, he was the good cop. So when I would kind of enforce the discipline and the practice time, she would go and hide behind him, and he would kind of intervene and get her a break, barter a break. So that's the role that he played.
But you were just doing like 15 minutes a day with her on the periodic table. So that's not bad at all. What would she do the rest of the day? Just play with animals and be like a regular kid?
Yes.
Okay. So Sadia has a question, which is interesting. So you did mention this, but how has the reaction been? Were a lot of people like, okay, you guys are cruel, or you're not letting her be a child, you're robbing? I mean, I'm very much a type A. That's why the group is called Scary and Me, obsessive mom. So I'm all for what you did. So I believe it's great, and I believe children should learn these life lessons. But what kind of a response did you get from other people?
There've been thousands and thousands of comments coming. In the beginning, a few of the comments that I read, I was extremely upset. Firstly, they were more interested to know which minority community she belongs to, because her name is not very Pakistani. And then they were like, probably she wears glasses because she studies a lot, which is not true. She's had glasses since she was 3 years old. And yes, they were saying ki to ratta, ratta, ratta. And honest to God, there was no ratta involved in this thing. You don't need ratta to learn.
Even ratta has something good for it. So I have a medical degree. There's a lot jo aapko rattna padta hai. And ratta or memorization is basically developing the brain power. So there's nothing wrong with it. Like there's a lot you need to, yes, like agar aap vocabulary ki baat karo, there's a lot that you need to understand in terms of syllables. But there are spellings jo aapko rattne hain, ki there or there ke spellings kyun farak hai? Matlab, where can you find the logic? So I do believe that there's like way too much negativity around ratta without, and like tables aapko basically the rattne hi hai. Yes, the pattern is something that you need to commit to memory, so you can understand the logic. Eventually it's practice and committing it to memory.
I 100% agree with you. 100% agree with you, but they would take it in a negative way, and then I just stopped reading those comments because firstly, एक नेगेटिव कमेंट के ऊपर 50 लोग जो हैं उसके डिफेंस के अंदर, मतलब उनके ऊपर अटैक कर देते थे, the person who would write a bad comment. So I didn't need to do anything about it. But yes, a lot of people said, why am I putting her through pressure? You know what? It's going to be a different world when it opens up after COVID in any case. We don't know what's going to happen. And I think it's wrong of us to keep protecting our children from the pressures.
Yeah.
We have to teach them how to deal with them.
Yeah. So how were you as a student? Were you like a grade A topper? How were you? What was your academic journey like?
Oh, I was a very, very nerdy child. I'm still very nerdy. I'm continuously enrolled in some certification or some course or something or the other. So yeah, I'm proud of that. I was a very nerdy child.
Okay. And tell me, so, homeschooling an only child, obviously you must worry about the social implications because she is an only child, so she doesn't have siblings at home. What is that something that you bothered about, or is that not something of great concern to you?
That is not at all of any concern because she is a pretty social child when she wants to be. And I think her being around animals has made her a much better human being than I think it would make her if she was only around humans. And the empathy has developed from this age. I know empathy does not develop in children until they're almost 21. But empathy बहुत ज़्यादा है, compassion बहुत ज़्यादा है, humanity is very, very active in her heart. And she's a confident child, and it's all right. It's okay. I mean, she has social interaction around her, so it's not that we're in the mountains totally isolated. She does have human contact, and it's all right.
But are play dates going to be a regular part of her timetable, or you're not worrying too much about that?
Right now, that's a scary option.
Yeah.
I'm not okay. Yeah, so we don't know. So the next 6 months are uncharted territory for anybody. So we're just going to go by day and see what happens.
Yeah. Okay. Are you going to give Natalia another challenge, another world record to break in the next 6 months? Or do you want to now just focus on the regular academics?
No, we're going to do both. The challenge is required, I feel that, and the kind of appreciation that she's gotten, it's insane globally. I mean, we got a call from Malala the other day, and she wants her to join her forums. And we got a call from the Russian Institute of Science and Technology. They want her to become an honorary member because she wants to become a biochemist when she grows up. So really interesting stuff is happening.
Yeah, that is amazing. Well, thank you so much, Sheena. And kudos to you. Great job done. And I think a lot of very important life lessons taught to Natalia. So amazing job. And we would definitely love to hear more about your homeschooling adventures. I'm sure you're going to do something out of the box and equally exceptional when you do sit down with the curriculum and figure out how you want to teach her. So we'd love to have you back to tell us how is that going, what kind of parameters are you using. But thank you so much, and congratulations.
Thank you for having me here. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. You have a great day.